Hi again, everyone. So, talking about topic on the level that I understand them, just be aware I'm not an economist, I'm not a politician, I'm just a middle aged woman who think that putting people first should be more important. I'm a parent who's been around and seen other parents who have children with special education needs and seeing how they suffer and how they try so hard to get support for their children and how hard it is for them to get those support. I've been on one side trying to get support for my children who have special education needs and seeing how hard it's been for me to get those support. I decided to start trying to help other parents get access to those support. So that's how I got into this. And no matter what you read in the news, no matter what you hear from professionals, unless you've spoken to parents, unless you've spoken to carers or spoken to those children, you have no idea how hard it is. You have no idea how hard it is. I hear people talk, I read the headlines, but to really get the full picture, you need to speak to the people that are living the lives, that are having to live, the experience. Then you know how bad things have gotten and how much worse it continues to get. It's like trying to fill a bucket using baskets with holes in them. That's what every solution that I've seen all these education experts try to do. It would be so easy. It would be so easy to fix this if you would just talk to the people that are living these lives. If you talk to the children, if you talk to the parents and ask them, what do you need? How can we help? And the funny thing is, all of these organizations, local authority, central government, you know, experts, they keep talking to parents, but it's tokenistic. They do surveys, right? They invite parents to meetings like, oh, we're looking at how we can help you. Come to this meeting and, tell us what you need. And we go to these meetings and we tell them what we need. And they go away. And the next thing you see is they've slimmed it down. They've diluted it to the point that it's become unrecognizable, right? That you're like, what was the point of your involvement? Why bother? Because it seems like they've taken nothing on board. But then they go to this media, they go to the meetings and they tout the fact that, oh, we spoke to parents, we spoke to young people to come up with this solution, this watered down version of what they heard from us, right? They don't say, this is not what they told us. They don't say, this is what the parents said. They just say, we talked to parents, we talked to students, and we've come up with this solution. But that's not what we said. That no way shows what we said. So they just use us. You know, it's just so demoralizing. Every new person, every new idea, they come to parent forum, they advertise in parents groups. Oh, we've got these fantastic ideas. We want to help parents. We want to talk to you. What do you need? How can we help your children? Say we know things are not right. Come, talk to us, tell us, and we can help. We will do what you want. And you go to this thing all optimistic, open minded, because you're desperate, because your children are falling on the ground. Their mental health is crushed. You know, your mental health is crushed, right? They can't go to school, they can't learn, they're not happy, you know, they're emotionally battered, right? Socially, emotionally, education wise, the whole family is affected, right? You know, you're almost losing your job because it's every day is something new, right? And so when someone comes and say, "Come, tell us, we are the one that can make the changes. We can help support your child. What does your child need? We want to listen." You're gonna go. You're gonna go to them. You're gonna break down. I've seen parents crying, you know, on their knees, breaking down, telling these people. And these people cry with you sometimes. They hold you, they hold your hand, and they nod their head. I understand. I have a sent child. Oh, my mom is autistic. Oh, in my days, you know, I was labeled as a bad child as well. I completely understand, you know. They show this camaraderie. They say all the right things, and you feel listened to, you feel heard, and you go away with a sense of optimism, and you go to your child and you feel like, I think this is going to work. And you go home and you're just hopeful, you keep your fingers crossed, and you're just thinking, maybe this time, maybe this time. And the report then comes out and it does nothing. It's the same old crap. It's the same old excuses. It's the same old punitive blaming the parents, you know, blaming the children, wanting to punish children and parents, demanding more of the parents, you know? And you're like, what's happened? This is not what we talked about. This is not what we agreed to. How is this the same person that sat with me, the same person that I was vulnerable with, the same person is now taking all my vulnerability, all my weakness, all my trust, and now they're beating me with it. And you're just broken. Like, and then the next time when you don't want to exchange, you know, you don't want to talk to them, you don't want to communicate, you don't want to get involved when they're asking you, then they say you're combative, you're not cooperating. How can we help your child if you don't tell us what you need? But you've become jaded because time and time again you've been let down. You become just like your child. Because when you're talking to your children and saying, "Oh, don't worry, you know, I've spoken to the school, they understand, you know, that you need help, that you can't cope with that thing, that you know you didn't understand, that it wasn't just bad behavior, you really do have a sensory need, you know, you really couldn't cope in that class, you know." But they say, "Mom, if I go back, that teacher is going to tell me off. They're going to think I'm just putting it on, right? Like it's happened before. They say they understand. They tell you. They be nice in front of you, but when you're not there, they be horrible to me. They punish me. They put me in isolation. And you're saying, but I've told them, I've got the report. It shows, that you're not able to do this because, you have ADHD or you have sensory needs. So the school said they're going to work. That's not going to happen again. And your child goes, okay, they go to school and they're treated differently again. And that's exactly, you're now seeing that. You're seeing the education authority doing exactly the same thing to you. So it's gaslighting. You're gaslighted by the education authority. You're gaslighted by the supposed experts, right? Just like your child is being gaslighted by the school, making them feel like they're the problem, where it is simply fact that the school cannot meet those child's special education needs, right? Why take my child? Why take the money? Why take them with the education and healthcare plan and the funding that comes with it if you cannot meet their needs? Why take them on, right? And then wait until middle of the term and say we can't meet their needs. But rather than say that, try to get rid of them, right? And it all comes down to one thing: money. How can there be no money to look after and give children what they need to become sane, productive adults in society? Just imagine that our line in the sand as a society is that we don't have enough money to educate, support our children to become, right, productive, mentally well adjusted members of society, right? We have money to make wars, we have money to make stupid buildings, to have New Year celebration of millions and millions. We have money to give away to other countries. We have whatever our priorities are. They're not our children. They're not to support the vulnerable. How is that logical? How does that make sense? I don't understand how, as a society, that is not our priority. That rather than spend the money to help and support these young people, these children, we are punishing them for things they cannot help. We are not meeting their needs. We're asking people to come and prostrate themselves in front of the government and say, my needs are higher than theirs, my needs is bigger than this, my needs is priority, right? We're asking to fight. This is like what? Battle of my needs is bigger than yours. We're literally asking parents and carers and young people with needs to come and say, how bad is your needs? Show me, perform for me. Show me how desperate, how destitute you are before you can get support. Right? You're not bad enough. We can't help you. Come back when you're worse, when you're on the ground, when you're suicidal. Even then, I've supported parents when their children are self-harming, when their children are suicidal, and still they're not getting support because they're not desperate enough, right? They ask this question, right? Have you in the last few months tried to, do away with yourself? Have you in the last few months tried to harm yourself? Have you in the last few months had thoughts of doing that? If you have any of those, then maybe you get urgent help. But if you're just desperately crying every day, can't barely leave your bed, no eating, you're still okay. You know, you're still all right. Wait a little while. Wait till you're desperate. You know, we have children chasing their parents around the house, you know, with a weapon. We have children so dysregulated that they're bashing up the house, leaving the house naked, threatening to jump out windows, right? But they're not desperate enough. The services are overwhelmed. They can't help those children. We have children being committed, right? You know, we have children being excluded from school. When you exclude a child, you're excluding, 11, 10, 12, 13 year olds. We're saying that they're not fit to be among children their age. We can no longer help or support them in these institutions because that's what you're saying. You're saying we give up on you, right? You're not normal. Nothing can be done for you in this institution, in this educational institution. You cannot be educated, right? You're subnormal. You cannot be among people your age. That's what we're saying to children, right? And we know that children with SEN are substantially more likely to be excluded. Imagine permanent exclusion. Permanent. How is that normal? How is that okay? To basically said, you, young person, with needs, with difficulties that make it hard for you, yeah, to be among your peers, right? We cannot help you with that. We cannot support you with that. We cannot differentiate for you. So we've given up. Go away. Don't come to our school anymore. You don't fit. How disgusting. And every day in the news is there. Every day on the TV is there. And it's just like some sort of background noise that's just becoming so normalized. So normalized. I just like it just makes me sick. It makes me so sick. And if any politicians, right, they talk about everything. Oh, the youths are the future. Oh, what these youths don't want to work. We are already creating the problems of tomorrow today. Today. In a few years' time, we're going to say they don't want to work. They don't leave their house. They're antisocial. We've already created them today. Parents are having to leave their jobs. Parents are becoming not just mom and dad and provider, they're becoming lawyers because they have to go read the law and find loopholes within the law. Yeah? They're becoming psychiatrists because they have to understand the psyche of their children and their own. They're becoming advocates, right? Because they have to advocate for their children as well as themselves. Yeah? They're just all round us. So much responsibility. And we're wondering why, as a society, we're just falling down the hole. These things make me so angry. It makes me so angry. I don't know. I didn't plan this to be a rant, but it looks like it's turned into a rant. So I'm gonna stop because I could go on forever and ever. I just think it's disgusting. I think it's ridiculous and demoralizing. I think the idea that we can put a price on the mental health, on the physical health, on the support that we can give to the most vulnerable members of our society. And the only thing stopping us giving them all the help, all the support they need is money. It's all about money. And the underhanded way responsibility is discharged. Right? Being passed from pillar to post. Everyone abdicating responsibility. It's absolutely disgusting.